This virus doesn't discriminate. It attacks everyone.
I want every American to be prepared for the hard days that lie ahead.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
This is certainly not a moment for panic or high anxiety. It is a moment for vigilance.
Then this happens at the Rose Garden.
I am officially declaring a national emergency.
Oh shit, they tear gassing. Hey, it's real! I stole it from the police! I stole the police horse, fuck it!
Oh shit, watch out! Oh! Building next door, we have 2 city blocks engulfed in flames, ladies, and we've never seen anything like this. The building's beginning to collapse! The building is collapsing! The building just exploded! Oh my god!
Please stand by for further details. We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
We'll bring you on into the temps, and we're all doing okay. Wow, 750 degrees in Gila Bend right now. And 1,270 in Ahwatukee. Now, I'm not authorized to evacuate Ahwatukee, but this temperature seems pretty high.
Cave Creek is really
Yeah, Cave Creek, Fountain Hills, they don't look good either. And frankly, Wickenburg is a total loss.
Oh my God.
You might as well just get out of anywhere along this 60 here. It's very warm. Surprise is starting to heat up as well at 1,300 degrees. So again, the safe spots seem to be Chandler and Mesa. Scottsdale is doing okay so far, but you know, you're sort of surrounded by some pretty intense heat. So, you know, again, I'm not your dad, but I would get out while you still can. So don't even bother looting up there. It's not going to be worth it.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here as we come on the air in the West. And we begin tonight with the horrific scene playing out late today in Boulder, Colorado. ABC's Kana Whitworth leading us off.
There was a guy laying out in the street. As soon as we got outside, and I started running towards him to try to help him, and my son grabbed me by my coat and said, "No, we can't help him, we gotta go."
At just about 3:30 p.m., police with long guns escorting this man, shirtless, with blood running down his leg.
I'm going to read the names of the deceased. Denny Strong, 20 years old. Nevin Studinsky, 23. Ricky Obbs, 25. Trelona Barkanoviak, 49. Suzanne Fountain, 59. Terry Leiker, 51. Officer Eric Talley, 51. Kevin Mahoney, 61. Lynn Murray, 62. Jody Waters, 65. Our hearts go out to all the victims killed during this senseless act of violence.
I am Charmain Schuh. I was an adjunct faculty this semester, and I had this wonderful class of portfolio that we created together, researching, writing art statements, and to come into this culmination of wonderful art. It was a very highly intelligent group to work with, students. Resilience is commitment. It's the fact of how to contact yourself inside and heal and be able to move back out again. With the students, they were committed to creating incredible bodies of work and also interacting with each other and pushing the boundaries of what art is. And this shows a lot more paintings than we have had in the past. So it's so exciting to see the difference in all the paintings. Some of the colors bounce off each other, and there's lines, but everything has their own substance and their own authentic movement. The gallery is created to show the artwork at its best. So the lighting is important, and what we bring out in each work, focusing on the red and having shadows, all that creates the art and gives it a separate little life from the artist too, because the person who's working with the shows has some input and makes it their own creation at the same time. It's a collaboration.
What did you see from students this semester that you haven't quite seen in the past?
A strong urge to complete, like to just reach the end goal line, but also being open enough to make changes if necessary. But there was definitely a commitment, like we're going to do it. Soren Holmgren's abstract paintings references internal reality as well as the idea of otherworldly dimensions and experience. The images of intricate and optical realms are depicted invoking an intense and mysterious energy. His paintings have a flat surface quality and colors that energetically flow together to form a cohesive window into the abstract world of line work. Ateret Goldman's art mediums span the tangible and the technological, with song, writing often intertwined. Philosophically, the work is tied to personal agency and faith as a source of empowerment, and takes interest in innocence, darkness, and reflections of light. Inspired by the ordinary and ethereal, Goldman's art is a commitment to uncovering her world.
Hi, my name is Ateret Goldman, and I'm so excited to be presenting work in this resilience collection. For me, resilience is keeping going, wanting to experience all of the little tosses and turns of reality, even though many of them are not pleasant. Resilience shows up in my process through fighting my own internal voice that will get me to do almost anything but create. It's about realizing that my voice has value even when I don't always see it. And having that commitment to follow truth, follow and seek, even when you have no idea what that even means. Resilience shows up in my work by my commitment to noticing the little details so that I can portray them in a way that feels real. Coming together and seeing everything on the walls after Zoom was an amazing experience. It really shows how there isn't anything that can replace being in person. It was like I was looking at all these beautiful people and beautiful work throughout the semester, but then seeing them in person, it was like, oh, life isn't a cartoon TV show. Like you can almost hear like the blood pulsing through because that vibrance is just so obvious. With the work I'm presenting, I really was trying to consider like what are the internal aspects of resilience, and I wanted it to be a culmination of what this past year has really been for me, specifically with this piece called Stay Connected. I put together real pictures from Zoom meetings over the past year to make a little conversation with myself and hope and ask the community to continue that conversation in whatever the simplest form, however they may be comfortable. I made sure to have gloves and hand sanitizer present because these are the times that we're in, and I think resilience is about being awake to your own needs, how you can authentically come out into the world, and what makes you stronger. What I want my piece in this exhibit to show is that every moment is a new opportunity, and any of those moments can be magical. It's not to put pressure on oneself to create this amazing reality when things are falling to shit, but to know that with the reflection of light, there is a glimmer in everything. And that contrast is what makes life so vibrant.
Brenna Dee is an American artist documenting her relationship to love, longing, and acceptance. Inspired by memory and the ethereal, Brenna's artwork juxtaposes effable realities with the material world. Colors and patterns found in nature create expressionistic dreamscapes containing human figures and imaginary. Using watercolor and acrylic paint, photography, and performance art, her paintings exist as pre-conceptual narratives.
My name is Brenna Dee, and this is The Process, a series of 5 watercolor paintings that I've created for this semester, exploring the themes of grief in a personal light and also stepping back from the more universal lens. Resilience is hard. I think that there's a lot of narratives in our society that preach victimization, and from a state of disempowerment, it's really hard to make any sort of empowered change or choice, which to me really feels like the heart of resilience, is an empowered choice to keep going in spite of the world, because the world is and has been a chaotic and painful place to be human for a long, long time. And so resilience is the choice to find hope and light and creation despite the chaos. In my process, and particularly in relationship to these works, resilience was the heart of the process. This exploration of my own grief is something that I've been working through for 3 years, and it still feels just as fresh as the day we found my sister had committed suicide. There's something really challenging about crystallizing emotion, and that's what I've really focused my process on in the last few years, and particularly this semester, is this exploration of emotion and the crystallization of emotion in a moment, which each of these paintings, while they hang on the wall, are just moments. And so this is what denial has felt like, and it may never feel like that again. So process is always evolving, and I think it takes a lot of inner strength and commitment to the vision to push past the doubt or intense emotions that certainly arise for me when I paint. This semester has been so interesting. Resilience has been just making the choice to go back to the computer screen. I found resilience to be not like this grand act of anything. It's like this really mundane, making simple choices to just continuing to engage with something that looked very different from what I imagined my senior year in Naropa would look like. And so it's not, I don't think of resilience as this great and grand concept. It's just in like the little choices, and like the choice to reach out instead of stay silent, and the choice to like connect with people even when isolation feels good. Yeah, resilience has certainly been the name of the game this semester. I think that both my work and myself are a pretty clear embodiment of resilience. It takes a lot to feel one's emotions fully, and through the process of creating these paintings, I not only crystallize them visually, I find them in my body, and I enact the process of the feeling before taking photos, before putting it on paper. And so I know deeply just how resilient I am.
I'm curious, I know you work as a body worker, and your artist statement talks about the link you see between body work and painting. And I'm curious about what embodied resilience might look like rather than just resilience.
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. We live in a time of a really cognitive, thought-heavy, mind-driven society, and so it's really supported even to address things at this very cognitive level of like, I understand why I feel sad. I understand why I'm experiencing grief. That cognitive understanding does not touch the embodied experience of grief. The actual felt emotion, each of us is going to experience that emotion differently. And so in my work as a body worker, I've seen, thousands of bodies at this point, and we all carry things similarly, but in that similarity, there's just these beautiful nuances. And I feel that way about art. If you tell all 15 of us to paint a painting of the same thing, you're gonna get 15 different paintings. And I think that embodied resilience is that way as well. It's a process of learning ourselves and understanding where we've been so that we can make an empowered decision about where we're going to go. Naropa wouldn't be what it is without the people here. And I think that especially in the face of COVID in the last year, the students and the incredible artists that I've interacted with have been a major wellspring of strength for my resilience. Because without those connections and without those reminders that we are in fact all on computer screens somewhere interacting together, that is what really feels like the heart of resilience and this semester.
Ella Marlatt. This is her pinup series. She was born and raised in San Francisco, California, and is currently working on receiving her bachelor degree in art therapy from Naropa University. She is a collage artist that uses a wide, diverse range of materials, including vintage pinup magazines. And this sparks conversation regarding femininity and spirituality. Marlatt's work is inspired by her love of nature and inherent magic that exists in the universe. Channeling this magic and the forces of the divine feminine creates an environment that welcomes the viewer to be present within their own being. Rebecca Nichols. She has been creating art since she could pick up a drawing utensil. She uses her art as an emotional and intellectual outlet to release stuck feelings and thoughts. To Rebecca, life is a series of cyclical sufferings. Artwork and art making breaks this cycle, allowing for relief. Lucine. This is a series of hers. It's called Allies, formerly known as Bestiality. It personifies the animal-human hybrid. In these paintings, digital images, NFTs, cast sculptures forming a multimedia, total sensory experience. Her preoccupation with anthropomorphic symbology speaks to the eco-feminist, pleasure activism. Iconic portraits offer their presence to confront social issues of dignity and dismantle the toxic masculinity we face within our fast-paced lives. Her queer guardian deities are painted in earth tones. Ruby, emerald colors, and cool gray scale backgrounds, while figure sculptures reflect the precious metals.
I'm LucineVisions. I am presenting part of my collection titled Allies, formerly known as Bestiality, in the Naropa University Senior Exhibition of 2021. Resilience to me is being able to show up when the going gets tough. It's the willingness and the heart and soul behind our purpose, behind our devotion, behind our art. For me, resilience shows up in my artistic process through my subject. My resilience shows up in the ways that I hold conversation around my artwork and am willing to show up when sometimes I don't want to. The conversations that I have around my work can be very triggering, and so I have to devote myself to the other side of these conversations. Resilience is portrayed in my work in an empowering way. My work and my subjects are here to say, I am here, you cannot faze me, I am untouchable, and I am also here to protect everyone in the space. So the statement behind my artwork is that it dismantles toxic masculinity in society. It raises the conversation of what toxic masculinity looks like in the heteropatriarchal society that we exist within. And so with each statement of each piece, each title, it brings us into the space of provoking the questions that we may have of reflection within ourselves, how we individually perpetuate toxic masculinity, and how then we can combat that, dismantle it with a sense of sacred femininity.
How has resilience been relevant to you this past semester?
Resilience has been relevant in my final semester here at Naropa University, just through powering through and keeping my head down, focusing on the bigger picture of what I'm here to do beyond the scope of just solely my work, and seeing all of my classwork, all of my schoolwork, all of my graduation work as something that serves my greater life, and that has truly what has gotten me through. Otherwise, if I didn't have that sense of purpose, I wouldn't be willing to show up. Resilience is optional for sure. We could choose to, and as I do sometimes, stay at home, stay in bed if we aren't feeling like showing up. And I think that resilience requires integrity. And so when we are following through with our sense of integrity, we're resilient in that way. Launching my first NFT, yay, on the day of graduation, on the 8th, this Saturday. I'm very excited. And you can find my work in other places, in the cryptosphere, in augmented reality, in virtual reality, in this actual 3D reality that we experience in galleries, on my website, on my Instagram, at LucineVisions. And I'm just so happy to be moving forward. I also want to turn my graduating thesis my capstone thesis into a coffee table book with this particular artwork weaved into it, the Allies collection. So stay tuned, I'm very excited, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next.
Savanna uses her art to share the fantastical world she sees so vividly in her creative mind. She uses bright colors, fluid and expressive lines to illustrate the world she so desperately craves. She's a huge advocate and promoter of self-love and authenticity, and the power of self-expression explodes in her one-of-a-kind creations.
Hi, my name is Savanna Monet Fortgang. I during this quarantine process, made a big collection of bigger pieces. I also did a couple of small ones, but this is the first time I've worked on this big of a scale. So I'm presenting that collection. Resilience to me is radical hope, and radical hope is the excessive imagination for good to come, and even at your darkest times, to still believe that things can get better. For me, I am majoring in art therapy, and for me, expressing myself is an act of resilience. When trauma and pain and heartbreak are thrown at you, I think that resilience shows up in art by releasing all of that onto the canvas And it doesn't necessarily have to just be trauma or pain, but also expressing and celebrating joy in your art as well can also be a form of resilience. Resilience has shown up for me this past semester by taking it step by step. My grandfather, I was talking to my grandfather and he said to me, Savanna, just remember, every day is a new day. And for me, I think that I try to use that as a mantra every day. I'm like, it's a new day. You know, no pressure as to what's to come, but do something.
So in your work, a lot of it has these very animated, colorful characters. If they were to say something about resilience, what do you think they might say?
So I think that, great question. I think that my characters, I talk a lot about how my characters are how I see the world and how at least I want the future to look like, being that a lot of these characters, you don't really necessarily know their gender, but you do know that they're colorful and that they're expressive. And I think that, you know, looking at my artwork and seeing that is a reflection of my hope and like the resilience that I think that we all need to have to create a better future. Sometimes when I start creating, I hate what I'm doing. And I've adopted this concept of 1,000 layers, which means the first layer can be terrible, it can be shit. And so that means the next layer could be better or still not good, but if you keep building with that and take the pressure that the first layer has to be perfect, then it really like takes that weight off your shoulders as a creator, because not everything that you're gonna create is gonna be great, and that's something that needs to be celebrated. And yeah, so this idea of 1,000 layers, it's like, it's okay. Like you messed up the first time, you got like 999 to go.
What was it like for you after being digital all semester to see the art come together on these walls?
Yeah, I think that it's crazy, and I appreciated what online could do, and I still felt a real sense of community, especially in this class. And then all showing up and bringing our artwork, it was just a whole nother level. And I think that, you know, we all shared our work over the semester with each other, but seeing it up on the walls is such a completely different experience. So it's been so exciting, honestly, to like be able to not just see someone over the camera screen and their work, but also see them in person, and I feel like it takes a lot of anxiety away. I'm really proud and excited about not only my work, but everyone in this class's work. And I think it's easy as an artist to put a lot of pressure and judgment on yourself of not creating enough, and I think that we all created a lot in this period of time. It's been extremely difficult, but to just celebrate that and be excited that we are still creating and we are still making the world a better place. And that's all you can do.